Thanks for tuning in to the Unaffiliated Creators Podcast. I'm your host, kaeveryday. This is the second season of the Unaffiliated Creators Podcast, and this episode will be dropping in 2024. So let me start off by saying Happy New Year to the podcast family. This is the Indie Artist Safe Place, so take off your shoes, get comfortable, and stay a while. Do us a favor and please rate the show. And if you have any feedback for us, please email us at unaffiliatedcreators@gmail.com. Now that everybody is taking off their shoes and got comfortable, P, how was your holiday?
Everything was good, homie. Everything was good.
Everything was good, huh?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I like that. I like when people have good holidays, man. I know it's probably gonna sound weird to the listening audience, but I'm gonna go ahead and wish myself a happy birthday. My birthday is actually on New Year's, so by the time this episode drops, New Year's would already have been here, so I'd be a year older. So I just go ahead. Matter of fact, I give myself some air horns, and I give myself a round of applause, man. Happy birthday! All right. Now that we done got all that out the way, man, it's time to get serious. All right. So before we get into the topic today, I did want to ask you, do you believe in New Year's resolutions?
I would have to say that it's cool, but really it's not about a resolution. It's just a lifestyle, really. You can change. You don't have to wait till New Year's. You can change the flip and do whatever, whenever.
Oh, so it's not about a New Year's resolution, it's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle, absolutely.
So basically what you're telling people is they don't have to wait till the new year to roll around to try to get their life together. They should be trying to get their life together all throughout the year.
All throughout the year, homie. All throughout the year.
Hey, man, I like that. I like that. All right, so let me ask you this. So in case you guys don't know, Spotify pays music artists 0.003 cents per music stream, which is less than a penny per stream. This is one of the reasons why some artists have started to take their music off of Spotify. With that being said, how do you feel about artists migrating away from Spotify and finding other ways to make money with their music?
Oh, wow. Let's unpack that, right? So they're not going to get paid for streams anymore, right? And they want to take their art down off of Spotify. Is that what we're saying?
Well, I think what's happening is artists don't like the super low payout per stream. So what they're doing, they're being proactive and they've decided to take their music off of the streaming platforms, especially Spotify, and they're trying to find other avenues or other means to, push their music and get their music out there, but other avenues where they'll get paid more money than less than a penny per stream.
I think that's the right thing to do. I mean, if you look at the amount of time and energy that they put into the art, I mean, you're still dealing with the middleman. If it's your audience, you should get paid direct, right? And if you got a real audience, then if you put the music for download somewhere that they can snatch it, put it there, and let them stream it off your website. Or, there's different avenues that you can go. I mean, me, myself, I'm thinking about it. I've seen with some other applications where indie artists are having some success with, just putting the whole project for sale. GarageBand, I think there's even LaRussell had spoke about. So it's a lot of different avenues that artists can take. Bottom line, artists got to take control of their narrative, because once you start, these apps aren't giving you the fair shake of the deal. They use your art to sell ads and then give you the pennies on the back end. So I think for me, why would I want as an artist to put a middleman in between me and my audience? I'd rather just sell to the audience direct. I don't think it's a far-fetched deal. 10 years ago, we laughed at the fact that, when they told us, they forewarned us that, yo, you're going to be shopping on your device and not at the mall. And we was like, oh, no, we're not doing that. I just came back from the mall. These malls are being demolished because no one's going in and paying a premium rate for something that they can buy online and not have to pay over that store's overhead. Like I'm not going to pay $20 more or $10 more for a product that I can buy online for the right price. So I'm not gonna deal with the interjection of commerce into when I'm trying to get goods and services. I can get it directly from the merchant. So I think that's the model that we're going to, and I think that the consumer is already there. Um, the people that don't like it is the actual record label, Spotify, because the moment that everybody starts pulling their art off, the advertisers are going, well, where are they going? Where's the audience going? And that is the true power. The advertisers want to be where the audience is. And if you keep your audience to yourself, guess what? They're coming to you. So, I would say to any artist, figure out a plan, do your research, um, understand your audience, and, start putting the feelers out and, you know, come up with a strategy that will work for you, that will, you know, get you the bang for the buck. You don't see the thing about this is, right? See, back in the day when they tried to they learned it. So if I could go back, I think this is a very good, a very relevant story into the conversation. Years ago, record labels thought they had rap music sold out. They absolutely thought about, there's no way any rapper is going to come out without us knowing. And here comes Master P, right? Sells 10,000 out of his trunk. And right after that, the mad scramble to make sure that that doesn't happen again. Now, what does that tell you? Back then we were dealing with physical sales. And for those the young people that don't know, you actually had to go to a store and give them money, and they would give you something physical, CD, tape, album, and you had to go have a player to play it in versus what we deal with now with just streaming and Bluetooth and all that other stuff. But you actually had to have a physical copy. So what Master P did was he sold 10,000 out his trunk. Now let's think about it. 10,000 out the trunk. If he sold them for $10 a piece,
Yeah, I think he was selling them for at
what
least
did you got?
$10.
Yeah, you got $100,000. You get 10,000 streams a day. You get not even a dollar. Or what? I don't even know what that breaks down to, but it's maybe $5 or $10, whatever that is. So you think about it, and ultimately, you got to make that decision. Trust me, Spotify don't want you to figure it out. That's one thing. They don't want you to figure it out. They're just telling you to upload the music. You'll be okay. We'll give your money to Beyonce and the bigger artists, and you'll keep uploading content, and you'll like it, and you'll be happy. And I think that, and then you'll beg us for us to put you on a playlist. So I'm trying to understand, if I got an audience, why would I then have to go to a third party, beg them to put me on a playlist that they're not going to put me on anyway? So the game is rigged. It was rigged from the beginning. So I think that people really need to look at this and go, um, what can we do to change the narrative? What I love about the internet has no rules and no one controls it. So it's the wild, wild west. And just like uh, Napster and all those other sites that thought they had a monopoly on this, they came to crumble. Spotify will crumble when enough people have become, fed up. Someone somewhere, and I'm gonna tell you, it's funny. It's probably gonna be some kid in Silicon Valley that then cut a little demo that knows how to code that says, I'm sick of this, and I can write code and I can develop something that is going to level the playing field. And that's what I love about the internet. The internet always figures out a way to cripple the big guy and be in favor of the little guy. And I think this time will be no different. I think in 10 years from now, Spotify will be gone.
Yeah, so
All
you
of the
kind of
streaming
alluded to
companies
it. So
don't
that was
need
going to
to
be
be.
my next question for you. When it gets to the point when majority of the music artists take their music off of Spotify, how do you think that would change the music landscape?
I think it'll be better. I think it'll be better. I think people will have to go search for what they want, and stuff that they don't want won't be in their face. If you love trap music, you don't have to worry about other forms of music in your face, and vice versa. So, you'll be able to get directly to what you want without all of the rest of it, without all of the recommendations. Where people think Spotify thinks that that's a great idea, but once again, once somebody figures out I can stream directly to my people, the game is over. That's just facts. And and when artists realize maybe streaming isn't the answer, but maybe more merch and digital products, which Web3 would serve a better platform. I think Tory Lane showed uh, that there's more possibility on the Web3 side.
All right, so you kind of just alluded to it. So we shouldn't expect for artists to take their music off of Spotify without providing other options or solutions. So what alternatives would you offer up to the listening audience that would be other ways to basically promote their music? I think you might have mentioned some when we first started out, but what would be some other alternatives that people could use to push their music out there besides Spotify?
Podcasts, podcasts. You get a community. Let's say I got. Let's say let's use Atlanta. I don't want to use Virginia. Um, we 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 don't stick together to the level of Atlanta. And this is no shade to anybody in Virginia. I love everybody's music here. Atlanta just has a more robust um, underground scene that I wouldn't even say it's underground. I think the radio is the leftovers, and what people would consider the underground is the more prevalent machine down there. But if let's use that as an example, you got all of these artists, but if all the artists figured out a way to start a podcast, and then you got, you know, artist A that's got 10,000 followers, you got artist B that's got 20,000 followers, you got artist C that's got 10,000 followers. So now they're constantly on each other's podcasts and they're previewing new music. More artists hear about it, join in. So now it's artists A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And now the audience is what, in the way that it started, how it used to be. In order to get to Atlanta, to hear Atlanta, you had to hear their mixtapes, and that was their podcast. That mixtape was the podcast. So you would hunt down to go find that tape, and then you had the sound. You get back to that, and at that point, those artists had the control. They had control of the money, the product, the advertising. No one could just come on their tape and arbitrarily say, right now we're going to sell you this bar of soap. That wasn't happening unless that artist got paid. So if we can get back to that in this new paradigm, I think that would be the ultimate. I would say artists start your own podcast, start a community of podcasts. Don't put your podcast, find somewhere to put your podcast with Spotify or these other machines. See, that's what they did. They figured out that despite the podcast, they wanted to capitalize that too. So now they're putting the music, the podcast is right in the same boat with the musicians. So now you want your podcast heard, you got to get on our playlist. What do you have to do to get on our playlist? You got to XYZ, or you can give us X amount of dollars and we'll throw your penny in the ocean and hope it works out for you. So the more that the artist takes control back of the paradigm is when then you'll have Spotify say, hey, and watch. If anybody's listening, a group of artists that have a strong following, if y'all did that and pulled together and did that, if enough artists started doing it, and then all of a sudden you couldn't get new music on Spotify, guess what happens to Spotify? It becomes the way of the dodo, as my favorite mix engineer Jason Joshua said. It falls by the wayside because it's not fresh anymore. You can't get if Atlanta, if that group of artists don't upload the music and it's the new wave and Spotify don't have it, it's gonna frustrate the younger people. And they're just gonna migrate to wherever it is. The artist still has the power. For a century and a half, these record companies and these constructs have made artists feel as if they are the only option. And they're not. They're not. When you're good and people want to hear the music, if you control the music, you control where they hear it. And they got to come, if they want to hear the music, they got to come wherever you say that it's at. That's it. And, with our other counterpart who's heavy in the Web3 space, he's showing me like, hey, you can create that Twitter space and you can play the music and it's protected and they can't download it and they can hear something. So that's an option. Looking at the Web3 space, I think Tory Lanez showed it when you start to make it to where it's a business transaction and the audience can participate in the earnings, that could be lucrative. So there's a lot of different things that Spotify definitely don't want you to think about. All they care about is figure out how to upload it to us for free, and then we'll make the money off of it, and we'll give you that wrap up at the end of the year and tell you that whether you're going to be sticking around to get paid or not. Or, frankly, if you don't serve the purpose of our advertising dollars, you might get dropped altogether. So, hey, that's what they think about your art. And there's nothing that they can do at this point they won't even debate it. They won't even try to even smooth it over. It is what it is. That's their position on it. And that's just the way that they're going about it.
Hey man, you just said a mouthful there, and I'm basically about to just piggyback off of what you just said by using me as an example, because you broke down a lot of nuggets there, but you know how people are. They're like, yeah, it sounded good, but trust me, my man know exactly what he's talking about. Again, I'm gonna use myself as an example real quick. So I'm gonna start with the Spotify wrap up, right? So I recorded some songs this year. But I guess I didn't do enough work. I didn't make Spotify happy enough with the amount of work that I put in because I was focusing more on this podcast. So when I got my Spotify wrap up back, it had a big donut. It said, "Thanks for playing. You didn't record enough songs this year to even kick in our algorithm. So even though you put in time, effort, money, energy into recording music, putting it out there, we're not going to even track it. We're not going to even basically say that you had any metrics when it comes to putting music on our platform, which means that I probably didn't even get my less than a penny for my time and effort. And what makes it even worse is the little bit of money that they should have gave me. Now how Spotify works, they're basically going to split that money up and give my pennies to the top earners on Spotify. So Drake and Beyonce and Taylor Swift and people like that just got my couple of pennies that I worked hard for this year. That's the first thing. Second thing, you brought up a good point about these podcasts. If all artists had podcasts, we could really make this thing work. Again, I'm gonna use myself as an example. Um, I'm gonna be open, honest, and transparent with y'all. I've made more money doing this podcast than I have with my music. Now, maybe it's because I suck as an artist. Maybe my music ain't hot. You could say what it is, but I could just let y'all know that I've made more money doing this podcast than I have with music. And I'm basically just talking about streaming. Now, if I was out doing shows and doing stuff like that, I mean, I probably could make more money off the music. But right now, we're just having a streaming conversation. So, I mean, you could do one episode of a podcast, and I can guarantee you that you probably can make more than a couple of pennies on a dollar. So that right there, the math is easy. One, you're gonna make more money doing the podcast, and like you were saying, two, if you made it to where all the new music will only get housed on the podcast, then you're driving all of the people to come to the podcast to listen. So now you're getting more downloads, you're getting more viewership. You probably can sell ads on your podcast, and you're a control of the narrative more than just uploading your music to Spotify. So, matter of fact, I got to give you a round of applause for that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I just need to understand that, you know, and we all understand it's the frustrating part about being an artist is you put your blood, sweat, and tears to hopefully make a living from your art. And I would always tell people, especially now, is that the art let the art be free, free from the pressures of trying to make a dollar. Because whereas you trying to get 10,000 uh, Spotify streams, you could just sell a t-shirt, some t-shirts and a hoodie, and you probably made more money selling a couple of hoodies. Because I know I made more money with clothing than anything. So you know, some people say, "Well, I don't have that gift." You gotta, even if the music is, even if you gave them, had somewhere where they could get the music, and then say, "Hey, contribute by if you don't want to buy the music, at least buy a T-shirt or buy a hoodie or a hat or something of that nature," because that's creating that commerce. And then once you know, see, this is what I talk to people about. Once you know what that feels like, that part where you know I'm absolutely about cutting out the middleman. So when I cut out almost all of the middlemen when it came to making clothes and screen printing it myself, I realized, okay, wait a minute. This hoodie costs $9, 9 ounce hoodie, $9. The ink, $1. I sell a hoodie, and I stand on my price and the quality. So $50, $60. How long is it gonna take you to get $50, $60 from Spotify? And then, I sell 10, 15 hoodies in a quick while. You know, I'm looking at some serious bread real quick that I can, versus spending all year uploading a million songs to Spotify for them to turn around and tell you, sorry, we gave that bread to Beyonce, all the time and effort. Yo, you got to start a podcast. Then at least you start a podcast, you can drill down into the subject matter that you're talking about in your art, and maybe an advertiser will link up with you and spin a bag with you. And that bag is independent of Spotify. I thought we was here for the, are we really business people, or are we just, because at a certain point, there's enough money out here in the world that you don't have to put all that pressure on your art. You can go and make, get that financial, make that dollar somewhere else and in other avenues. And podcasting is a great way that, and I talked to my other counterpart last night, and I was telling UK that me and him have these, and just like me and UK, we have these elaborate hour and a half conversations that I'm like, yo, no, like 2024, we putting this these conversations go on a podcast, on a Zoom call, on a live, and we're gonna capitalize on conversations that artists have all the time. I I spent a majority of my life in the studio, so I know how it is, the vibe, and you sit, you come to the studio, you get whatever your vice is, whether it's, you might want to go puff something, or you want to go drink something, or whatever rocks your boat to get you in the mood to make some art. But then before we make the art, we have these wonderful conversations, and alluded to and talking about the craft. Take those conversations and further deepen the experience for your audience, and then you're going to make they're going to connect with you in a way that you would not believe. And then you take that and then you wrap it into, hey, this is where the music is, this is where the merch is, and I'm going to keep putting this. And then when you look up to, a couple of years later, you got all this content, all these conversations that you get to capitalize on, and you made money during the podcast interviewing maybe whomever. So it's a the ecosystem is there. Um, they don't want you. They don't want people to understand it. Um, Even me now trying to simplify my process to where I can just jump on. I mean, I have this elaborate set back here, but being able to just jump on and then jump on a live or jump on a Zoom call and just really, get it in, and add that to the value that I'm adding into my audience, and then just trying to grow the audience, make them understand me, my position, where my art is coming from. And for 2024, I'm taking my conversations and sharing it with my audience and letting people understand really where I'm coming from. Because I believe that every artist deserves their fair shake. I believe that every artist should understand business and understand that when you get rid of the middleman, you get more of the profit. So by the time I sell that hoodie, my profit margin 300-400%. Right. So at that point, I'm not going back to going down the street to some printer that's going to beat me in the head and tell me that same $9 hoodie they got to charge me $30 plus to print it. And now I'm left with only making $10 after I done spent $50 per item. Like, that's crazy, man. Like, and once you get a taste of that, it's hard to go back to that old way. And I think once artists realize, and just like with Master P, once he realized that what it tasted like to be independent, see, that's the power in this. If you think about Master P, I love that example. That once he made that $100,000, there wasn't much they could say to him no more. There was no more golden nugget that they could dangle in front of them. So they put it in front of Cash Money. They put it in front of Cash Money, and if people don't realize and go do your homework. They didn't come with Cash Money with $100,000 either, because by the time Master P got rolling and that thing, and what he did, what they thought that he was going to do is he looked at the record company and was like, okay, so you got some kid doing your album graphics. I'm gonna go get me somebody to do my graphics, and I'm gonna drop a tape every month, and I'm gonna make y'all sick. And then by the time they turned around, then they was like, oh, he got the South on lock. So what are we gonna do? He ain't gonna come. He's not coming to the table. That's the problem. That was the problem with that situation. P wasn't coming to the table. The bread was too good. He was not gonna give them the masters that he still owns today. Still owns them. Still owns the rights and the licensing. So then you got Cash Money. So look at the significance. If artists just do their homework, they turned around and immediately gave Cash Money one of the biggest deals that at that time. They gave Cash Money $30 million. They wouldn't even give some artists enough money to go to see the doctor, and they turned around and gave Cash Money $30 million. You got to look at they understood something. They saw it. They was like, there's no way we can let that happen. And if more artists understood, you're the prize, you're the secret sauce. If you control the narrative. It's your art, not theirs. Not theirs. How can they turn around and lock you into something and then tell you and turn around after you give them the art, they say, I'm gonna give you 0.0003, whatever it is. And if I don't like, if you don't feed the beast, then I'm gonna turn you off. So now what? They didn't really, they turned around and really got grimy with you. It was just like, yeah, we got so many of y'all now, we can cut some of y'all loose until that tide shift. And then a lot of artists, it's all, look, listen, it only took P. There was plenty of rappers. It only took P to change the way that they did business. Trust me, it's only going to take a few to where they're going to go, how can we, and then of course, just like with Instagram, I, I also want to make sure that posting content. They did the same thing. Now Adam Mazzolari is talking about, oh, we know you're trying to make a living. Just just bear with us. We're gonna help it out. And then they started realizing cats was just like, yo, we're going to Twitch, we're going to Discord, we in control. Now it's like, oh, well, at least can we be the middleman between you and your art? Can we do can we handle your transactions? And I'll warn people of that. Once you let them back in, they're gonna figure out. Then your transaction, first they're gonna be like, oh, we'll handle your transactions for a nominal fee, for little or nothing. And then slowly but surely, as your audience grows, that price is going to grow. And then once you get to a certain point, they're going to have enough artists to where like, if you don't like our $100 fee per transaction, you can just go somewhere, right? But the problem is that the internet always wins. The internet always wins, and they look at blockchain and what it has, and I'm not saying that the blockchain is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I'm just telling you that the internet offers another way, and that's the beauty of the internet. And artists need to look at that and go, hey, I need to look at other avenues of where I could go with this.
Hey man, I appreciate you taking time to come on this Zoom call today and breaking this all down to us, man. You always a wealth of knowledge, man. That's why I always like to, chop it up with you. You always bring a different angle, a different perspective, and you've been doing this music thing for a long time. So, hey man, let's just keep knocking them out for 2024.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, man. Well, if you don't got nothing else, man, y'all be good and stay safe.